I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and I thought it really interesting because we were talking about a relationship. There's stuff going on with it, and she's realized now that the majority of things she did in her relationship were for her partner and not necessarily for her or what she would do. And it really took me kind of like for a loop because I just couldn't really imagine that we always talk about voices and making sure we're being heard. And I thought, what an awful way to be in a relationship that you're not heard or that you feel you always have to dampen yourself or go along with your partner. So I was wondering what you ladies thought. So I'd like to give her some outside of my advice, if anyone has any, of just, dealing with that or your thoughts.
You just brought me back to about 15 years ago, unfortunately. Um, I did not have a time where um, I knew what I wanted, and I was such a people pleaser that I knew if I made him happy, then I was happy. Didn't have my own voice, didn't have anything. And
Sorry, so that
um,
was a role you just felt comfortable doing, going, I'm just going to, if he's
I think
happy, then we're good.
I fell into it because, well, for me, it wasn't a good relationship.
Okay.
So, in order to appease the person so there was no conflict, I would just make sure his needs were met. And I ended up getting lost.
Getting lost.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what she sounds like. She's lost. She doesn't know who she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really hard because
Yeah,
you
because
don't,
just it wasn't a like this terrible relation. It
nope,
just was a relationship that no longer worked, and now she's looking back and going,
yeah.
Exactly that. Where did I go? Where was,
And, I think a little bit was how if she was to look back or like I look back, that's how my mom always made sure everybody was taken care of. She very rarely did anything for herself. You know what I'm saying? She
Mhm.
was a strong woman. She had a voice, but she wouldn't always use it. So I assumed through my what I saw how to move forward with that's how I moved forward in that marriage. And um, it takes it's kind of hard to one, there's a little bit of a grieving, to be very honest. There's a grieving part of it because um, you have lost a marriage, whether it didn't work or anything anymore. And then you just have not just I just had to start understanding what was important to me. And that was a pure trial and error, to tell you the truth. It was a really hard time for me because I didn't learn how to stand on my own 2 feet. But little by little, I found that voice and I found what was important to me. So I think it's something as not simple as, because there's nothing simple about this. If you were to ask her, like we always talk about what words are important to us, what words do we want to live by? I wonder if she even understands or knows that, as a starting point.
I just wonder if you go in together, how you start losing your voice.
If I what? I'm sorry.
Well, so just anyone is in a relationship and how you make sure you keep, maybe it's the question, how do you make sure you keep your voice or
Right.
yourself or your
Well,
not get lost?
yeah. I think it depends on, I think I might not be the best person to ask because mine was not a good, because mine was a very controlling, you know, argumentative type. So I think we also get so busy. So I don't know if she had children. I don't know any of that, but you get so engrossed in all these other things that you forget what you want because you're always taking care of other people. Like for me, I don't think until the relationship I'm in now that I ever put myself either equal or first in the relationship. I was always behind for me. I don't know about you, Tracy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, the question, I mean, there's a ton of questions that come to mind, but
I know.
it's like, um, the bigger thing would be if you could rewind time, what would you do differently? What conversations didn't happen that needed to happen? Because I think that's where loss takes place is the lack of communication. People stop talking to each
Mm,
other. They stop, they stop, they stop the connection because life gets busy. And if you are in the stage of your life where you are, you've got a career and you've got kids and you've got mortgages and you've got activities and whatever, it's very easy to get through the day and not come together and say, tell me about you. Tell me about you. And all of a sudden, 10 years goes by, and it's like, I don't even, when was the last time we even had a conversation? I don't remember it. And now I don't know how to do it.
right.
Right? It's like I literally don't know, like, how do we pick this up? But that's how you do it by having that one conversation of, I don't even know. Like, I don't know how this happened. I don't want to be in this place. I want communication. I want connection, you know, um, but
But
it's so important to have
are
that.
they divorced now?
No.
Oh, I thought they were divorced. I'm sorry.
I mean, that would be the thing is
In the process of.
oh,
Okay,
okay.
I
So
apologize.
it would be like if she wanted that relationship to work,
Hmm.
what would she want things to be? How would she want to be different with that? And is that something that can happen? Like if you're not having those conversations, then the other person has no idea. And then the
Right.
problem is that we have expectations that are never communicated.
Mm,
It's like I expect you to do this, or expect you to react a certain way, or expect something, and that never gets talked about. It's never, so the person's living in the dark, and every time that expectation doesn't get met within you from that other person, it erodes that connection, it erodes that communication capability. It starts to literally erode the relationship. And that's not fair on anybody.
Yeah.
well, I think what you said too is like it's almost like a business if you don't watch out. It's like, okay, who we gotta got the
Right.
mortgage, we gotta who's taking the kids, who's doing that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
again, communication, if even if you do try to do that, if 10 years out, each of you have changed so much, right? So
Yep.
you better be keeping that connection, or I think you could always go back, perhaps, maybe not, but you got to keep that connection right at the beginning. Like you've got to figure out how we have our business, our family, but don't treat it like that. That
Yes. You came
Yeah.
together for a reason, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
you you there was something about being together that was special, that was wanted, that fulfilled needs on both people's behalves. And you have to, while that morphs and changes throughout life, that still has to be the basis of what you come back to. That's home. Like that's home. And then you have that connection always of tell me about you. This is what happened in my day. Tell me about your day. Just
Hmm.
little things. It doesn't have to be like, but it's like all of a sudden you're going to bed and your head's hit the pillow and you haven't even said goodnight.
yeah.
You
But
know,
the,
you
but the light bulb went out just now for me because um, then what happens is, sorry, I'm pointing,
no, no, it's okay.
is that you lose yourself, right? So you become
Hmm.
Mhm.
lost because you are not talking about your thoughts, your feelings, whatever. 10 years pass, and the original thing was that you're I don't know the right word I'm looking for. You're agreeing with your partner on everything just because you're no longer you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, at that point it becomes a business relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a home relationship. You know what I mean? It's not like that connection, that soulful heart to heart thing that got you together in the first
Yeah.
place has gone. I mean, and yeah, like it's like, wow, where did that go? How did that all happen? I mean, the easiest thing is like, well, it's your fault. You did that. Like
Right.
I'm out. Like forget it, right? But it's like, yeah, when people say, oh, it takes work for a marriage to work, it's like that's the work.
Yeah.
It's that coming home piece that you take that 5 minutes a day to have that connection to say, how are you doing? What's everything? And not like Joey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
But just to, you know, touch base.
But I think the other part of that is by doing that, you keep yourself you because you're
Yes.
expressing. So not only are you keeping the relationship, you're figuring out you every day better and better and articulating that to, the love of your life.
And it also allows for the growth and the change that
Mhm.
is taking place within each of
Yeah.
you to be shared and
Yeah.
to see the struggle and to say, to be seen and heard, and validated and all of those things. Like it's just, yeah, like that you have to communicate. You can't not have a conversation. It's like, I don't know, it's like I don't know, whoever said don't go to bed on a fight. Like don't leave a relationship on a fight situation. It's like don't you have to have some form of connection. That's the goal every day, some form of connection. Like tell me about you. What's going on with you? What's happening?
That's funny, hey, because you're gonna learn that from your family, right? Like that's if
Yeah,
you
so
haven't learned
that's
it, if you haven't learned it, like it's not like they teach that in school.
no, and that's the
Mm-mm.
thing. It's like, and there's like so many people that I see that that's exactly what their parents were like. So it's like
Mhm.
they're now in the same situation and they don't know how to articulate what it is that they want to say. And it's like you just say it. It's like there's no magic thing here. You
Mhm.
just said it to me. You say the same thing to that person. Like it's not, it doesn't have to be difficult. We like to make it difficult.
Mhm.
We like to say, oh, this has got to be said in a certain way. It's got to be done certain times. It's got like everything has to be perfect. Everything's got to be laid out perfectly before
Well,
I
I think we
enter
go
that.
back to how we were brought up also. Like, don't rock the boat, like you're being selfish, like all of these things.
Mhm.
And we need to forget that. And like Tracy E said, it's just having a conversation. And here's the thing, you probably will stumble through that conversation because you're not used to having a conversation. And that is okay.
Hmm.
For me, when I was in that other relationship and I tried to do that, unfortunately, that person was very demeaning and would be like, well, why did you choose that word? Why, how come you didn't say this word? What does that sentence mean? What does this mean? To the point where I just completely shut down. So it is there has to be a two-way, but you have to inside know, I want to have a conversation. I want something different. If you're being shut down, that is not a warning, but that's a signal. That is a signal.
Yeah.
For me, as you brought that up, Tracy E., that was a huge signal. Like,
Mhm.
I think when I did try to express myself, so if I was allowed to speak and not be ridiculed, the communication would have gotten better.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. But there's so many relationships, not controlling ones like you were in, Michelle,
Yes,
that end up disappearing
yes,
Hmm.
because people just haven't said, I don't even know how to begin this conversation, but
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, how are you?
yes,
Like I've missed you. I feel like we haven't talked for like 10 years. Let's and it doesn't have to be, oh, okay, now we're going to talk for like 4 hours. It's like
yeah,
it can be like a 10-minute thing, 5
no,
minute thing.
no,
But
I think
it's
also that
the
people
touch
after a
points.
while are scared to say their feelings or say their
Hmm.
thoughts or opinions or just, they're vulnerable. They don't want to
yeah,
expose themselves too much.
no. There's that vulnerability. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's also whatever you've been brought up in.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So you might have somebody who's open to hearing the communication, but if you were brought up in an environment before that it wasn't a welcome thing,
Yeah.
you're going to tell yourself a story before you even start the conversation, and you
Hmm.
will not open your mouth.
Hmm.
And that is also detrimental to a person because we keep telling ourselves these stories and thinking, well, I did try this once before and that person made fun of me. So we think the world is going to make fun of us
Hmm.
when it was really just that other person's immaturity, cruelness,
It's
whatever.
Well, they
that
were
that
brought
but
up.
that's yeah, but that's
Yeah.
important because that's really hard to get over, right?
Yes,
It's the cognitive bias that we actually
yes,
create in that
yes.
moment when that happens, that we go, okay, I'm never doing that again. That's it. I'm
No,
done. That
no.
shut that door down and I will
Yes.
never go into that realm ever again.
And
Um,
and that's so funny because you think about us as a child, the innocence of a child, meaning we fell how many times and we still got up and ran down
Yeah.
the sidewalk. We couldn't get the food in our mouth, but we didn't stop eating. We learned how to use the fork. Like, you know what I mean? Think of the innocence of a child. But yet, when we grow up, we take these stories and we just end everything because somebody might do it again to us.
Well, that's why we show gratitude.
Yes,
And our relationship, like you really look and everything's against you to have, like if everyone has all these stories in their head and you're trying to communicate or have this relation, it's very hard. So, gratitude.
yeah,
mhm.
yes. So, what do you think, viewer? Share this with somebody who might need to hear this. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button and hit notifications so you know when our next episode is going to come up. Until next time.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.